All right, good day. Today's transmission has been titled, Tell Them Bashar Sent You. And this will be, in some sense, a continuation of what we have done before when we suggested that you take an illustration of either a hybrid or a gray that is provided for you to download in this transmission and cut it out, blow it up, paste it on some stiffer background, cardboard or foam core or whatever you wish that allows it to be rigid. Blow it up to the point where the head of the image of the gray or the hybrid from the top of the crown to the bottom of the chin fills one of your typical 8.5 by 11 inch pages, and therefore allow the rest of the neck and the shoulders to be whatever size they will be by following that measurement. And once, as we have described before, it has been placed on a rigid background, then place that cutout outside one of your windows, or more than one, as if it is peeking through the window at you, to get used to the idea as you're simply going about your daily business of now and then, out of the corner of your eye or more directly catching that image, especially at nighttime, peeking in at you, so that you can get used to the idea over time that there are interactions going on between those beings and yourself. And as you become more used to the idea of seeing them there, allowing yourself no longer to be startled by those particular images and starting to relate to those images pasted outside your window as if they are real three-dimensional beings looking at you physically through your window. So again, you can get used to the idea that interactions are going on, whether you are aware of them or not. This technique, as we have described it previously in that transmission, will allow you more ability to accept that these beings are in your reality and allow you more efficacy at actually being able to perceive them, the real beings, as they enter your reality and observe you and start to interact with you. This is for the purpose of making sure that you can begin to experience now, from this point forward, those interactions on a more conscious basis, on your own terms, as equals, without fear, so that you can not only remember some of the encounters you've already had that you may have forgotten one way or another, whether they were suppressed by the grays or the hybrids, or whether you suppressed them out of fear, doesn't matter. The idea now is that as you develop more of an equilibrium between yourself and your vibration and these beings, you can begin to remember the encounters you've already had and can become more aware and conscious of any future encounters as well. Now, to add to this and continue this process forward to get you, again, more used to the idea of open contact, because now we are starting bit by bit to proceed toward the beginning of the window at the end of 2023 of open contact, starting slowly, bit at a time. But more and more of these kinds of exercises will be shared with you, suggested for you, to give you, again, more ability to experience open contact in a way that is beneficial to all, without fear. And so what we will now add to this exercise, which you can keep doing to get, again, yourself used to this idea, and especially now that some of your military officials have begun the first stages, small stages, yes, but the first stages nonetheless of disclosure, by validating certain videos as authentic of UFOs. This is the beginning, the very, very beginnings of opening up to disclosure that we exist. So let's begin to take advantage of that momentum by adding to the previous exercise of the cutouts peeking at you through windows, by now allowing you, when you notice them at any time during the day or night, face them, walk up to them more closely on your side of the window or the glass door or wherever you have pasted them so that they appear to be peeking in at you. Walk up to them maybe at about a distance of, let's say, 3 feet. And once you are in that position and looking at them and allowing yourself to feel comfortable looking at them, allow yourself to say the following words. I see you. I recognize you. I invite you to invite me to participate more openly, more consciously, without fear. And I introduce myself to you as a friend of the messenger, as a friend of Bashar, as a friend of the hybrids, as a friend of the children who will come to live among us. And I am open in whatever way serves everyone best to participate in the ongoing program of evolution that will allow Earth to move forward and become the 6th hybrid race. I allow this on my own terms, in an experience of comfort, in an experience of love, in an experience of allowance on both sides. And I allow myself to come into more awareness, more conscious recognition, more conscious realization of the ongoing encounters in my life and the participation of all of my counterparts and connections and my soul, family, and spirit guides and higher mind in this endeavor. For all concerned with love and peace. You may write all this down. You may read it out loud when you are facing that image. And if you wish, at the end, you can add, this is up to you. Bashar sent me, and I am here. We will leave that part up to you. Remember to do this with no insistence, no assumptions, just allowance, bit by bit. You can do this once a day if you wish, twice a day if you wish. You don't have to do it more than 3 times a day, but we will leave that up to you. And it doesn't have to last any longer than the reading we just gave you. But be earnest, be open, and if you feel any trepidation or fear, that is all right. You can stop, you can adjust, you can breathe, you can relax, you can even stop and start again later if you wish. This is all about getting comfortable with the existence of these beings in your reality and getting comfortable with your existence in our reality. So that again, you are creating and building up a frequency that is representative of the third reality between the both of our realities, respectively, that will be the reality in which open contact will occur to the best of all concerned. So practice this every day if you wish, to guide yourself more and more into the frequency of open contact. And we welcome you in this exercise and in this endeavor. So tell them Bashar sent you. All right, I'll say good day. We now deliver the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Step 3, where we introduce a specific action in the form of a communication to the officials on your planet having to do with the idea of the revelation of information connected to what you term UFOs, UAPs, and extraterrestrial activities, information, and knowledge. We have crafted a specific letter for you to send out. We have transmitted this through the channel with very specific wording. The wording of this letter should be given out verbatim, so it is up to you to copy it intact, adding nothing, subtracting nothing. It will serve a very specific purpose of timing for things that are to come up in your near future and build a momentum of energy that can lead toward the acceleration of the probability of open contact on your planet. But again, it is up to you to decide to participate in sending this letter out in the way that it is instructed to do so. But again, the degree to which you are willing to participate in this will determine the vibrational state that is conducive to the idea of open contact and being in alignment with the interstellar alliance. Again, completely in your hands as to what degree you participate in this. But there are specific reasons for the timing of this as instructed in the letter, and the way in which it is presented, how it is worded. There are things that it will connect to. There are chords, in a sense, that it will strike within different people in very specific ways. We have, to some degree, in a limited fashion, done a similar experiment with you before as a kind of beta test to see how many people would participate. And this leads us to the creation of this version of it now that we are actually in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. And this takes the form of step 3 to increase your activity, your physical activity, your engagement, your involvement in your world, specifically along these lines, specifically in this vibration, in this energy, to again gauge the degree of willingness that you have to present yourself in a certain way, to establish yourself within a certain frequency, within a certain vibration, and to state clearly from your particular perspective as an individual member of the Interstellar Alliance, the things that are relevant and important for activities in the world, for directions to be taken, for actions to be taken on your part and the part of others that will allow more probability to bring about the idea of open contact and to accelerate the timing of such. And so to this purpose, in the delivering of step 3, Nania, I will ask you to read the Interstellar Social Experiment step 3 out loud to share with all, and allow them to know that a download of this will be available for them to use in the way that it is instructed within what you are about to read. So please proceed.
Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 3. Send the following letter by email or regular mail to every government representative in Congress, Senate and House, and all party members, as well as to the presidents, premiers, scientific, military, and political leaders of every country on Earth every 3 months until they take action as requested. And the letter should say, "Dear," and you name the person, "despite military, scientific, and political statements to the contrary, we believe that UFOs or UAPs do not represent a threat of any kind to national or global security or humanity at large. There is overwhelming and well-researched evidence and thousands of eyewitness accounts that these objects have been present throughout Earth's history without detrimental effect on the day-to-day affairs of humanity. Without supporting or promoting any related conspiracy theories, we believe that certain organizations are withholding knowledge of this phenomenon out of an irrational fear and for self-serving reasons. It's time for the secrets to end and a program of transparent public education to begin in service to humanity. Therefore, we respectfully but strongly request that you, in your official capacity, immediately and publicly disclose and release, within 1 year from your receipt of this letter, any and all information in your possession, or that you are aware of being in another person's possession, regarding UFOs, UAPs, and any and all indications of extraterrestrial life, activities, and technologies, and that you publicly state your support for the complete release of all such information without limitation, editing, redaction, ridicule, or falsification. Please be aware the members of this social movement intend to vote for and elect only those leaders and representatives who publicly and actively support and promote such disclosure, and with our votes, replace all officials who do not. Thank you. And this is from the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Group.
Thank you, Nania. When this download is made available to you, again, you may copy it, send it out as requested every 3 months, and when enough people do this, and the officials continue to receive these letters over and over and over again, and you allow yourself to do your research with regard to who is willing to support this idea publicly, and to ensure and assure that your votes will change those representatives should they not follow the requests involved in this transmission, then we will see how on your planet the idea of public opinion, the idea of public preference, the idea of the ability of the public to, as you say, move the needle on a subject in a direction that you prefer, will take effect to whatever degree you participate, to whatever degree you understand that you are your governments, to whatever degree that you will stand up and declare for yourself the ideas that are connected to the larger galactic family to which you belong, and your passion at experiencing the vibration of contact, the vibration of the Interstellar Alliance, and the changes that you may make in shifting to versions of Earth that are more and more and more representative with each transmission you send out, to act as a navigational tool to move you in the direction of the version of Earth that will be more and more and more representative of open contact, so that you may experience an acceleration toward that end. So it is of critical importance for those willing to participate that you allow yourself to send it out. We understand again that some of these challenges may require action on your part. You may need to rearrange some schedules in order to send them out to all of the individuals that are suggested within the letter. But again, the degree to which you are willing to participate, the degree of fullness to which you participate will make a difference. And the degree to which a lot of those individuals will receive these transmissions will also let them know what the general population prefers and what the general population will support or not support in moving forward toward the end of open contact. So, every 3 months is sufficient, considering the volume of the letters that will be sent out again and again, the same letters over and over. You will eventually see an effect. And we will be watching, we will be gauging, we will be observing, again, as a barometer, to what degree the needle is moving toward open contact and away from fear and secrecy. So we thank you for your participation ahead of time. And in return for your willingness to participate in this social experiment and your willingness to take action on step 1, step 2, and step 3, for remember, you do not stop doing the original steps. You keep doing everything as best you can, and you add to it with every step that we deliver to you. So, in return for this, I ask you now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and your dialogue if you wish. Good day. This transmission is called the Archetypes of God. And what we mean by this is you have many names for the idea of what you call God. God, Goddess, Allah, Jehovah, Tetragrammaton, the Light, the I am that I am, Wakantanka. It doesn't really matter what it is that you use as a name to identify the concept of all that is. But it is important to understand that all of these names represent different archetypal expressions, different angles and different perspectives of the same one thing, so that all of your apparently separate religions, no matter how they present themselves, no matter how many symbols they use to represent the idea of God or aspects of God, are all talking about the same thing, but from different points of view that serve the uniqueness of the culture in which they live. But the idea is to understand that it all comes from source, it all is within the light. And the light, source, all that is, expresses itself in all these ways in order for there to be sufficient symbols for all the different cultural experiences on your planet, all the different individual experiences even within a culture on your planet. As we have said, the misinterpretation of what you have called, in one particular Judeo-Christian culture, the 10 Commandments, are really the messages that were delivered in a very different way that have been misunderstood, misquoted, because of the level of understanding that existed in the culture at the time. And the so-called first commandment, I am the Lord your God, thou shalt not have false gods before me, really was a mistranslation and a misunderstanding of the idea that really would be more accurately represented as, I am that I am, and all reflections are me, therefore none can be false before me, for I am all that is. So the idea is to understand that all that is presents itself in a variety of archetypal forms, the father energy, the mother energy, God, Goddess, all that is, as you sometimes say. And these serve various functions and translate into your reality as, shall we say, smaller representations of all that is, that are specifically designed to deal with specific cultural differences, specific ideology differences, specific individual interpretations and differences. Fundamentally speaking, the archetypes are all that is way of making sure that no matter what angle you approach all that is from, you will have a symbol and a representation that can serve your unique perspective. They are all true parts of all that is, because there's nothing outside of all that is. Anything you can experience as an archetypal representation, or even when you assume it is the entire representation of all that is true and accurate, because all that is everything that can possibly be. There's no outside to it. There is nothing that is not it. So it doesn't really matter how you relate, what relationship you form with the idea of any presentation of all that is, any idea or formation of the idea of God, be it the old man with the long beard, be it the idea of the Virgin Mother, be it the idea of a rock or a mountain. It matters not to all that is, because all that is all those things and more, beyond even your imagining. For all that is in its archetypal presentations also forms the symbols that are relatable to not only your particular human culture, but many cultures throughout the cosmos, throughout infinity. Anything and everything, being a reflection of all that is, has its own way of understanding the presentation of archetypes from source, has its own representations that make sense to their cultures. So there are an infinite variety of presentations of all that is, but it is still the same one thing fundamentally. But as you expand your consciousness and start to realize that all of these are different faces of the same thing, as many people on your planet have expressed, the 9 billion names of God are still representative of the same one thing in the holographic, multidimensional presentation that it can use to present itself, then you start to allow those differences to sort of melt away, except for the parts you feel you need, and allow yourself to have a direct relationship, more directly, with Source, without necessarily needing it to be anything but the light. And in that light, you feel the vibration of the eternal existence that it is, the vibration you translate as the unconditional love of God. This is the vibrational frequency of existence itself. It is unconditionally supporting, unconditionally loving. And the idea is that there is no judgment in this. There is no expression of the negative in this. So even when individuals in different cultures might express or experience the idea of negative or demonic experiences, you have to understand this is still all part of God. Because there is the positive, there is the negative, and there is the neutral. These are the major archetypal energies, and they can be expressed in a variety of ways that can serve either positive or negative means. So allow yourselves to lessen the differences, in a sense, use them in whatever way serves you, use them in whatever way allows you to learn the lessons you need to learn, for the agreements that you chose to experience, the challenges that you created for yourself in this life to learn who you are and grow in various situations. Again, using the positive and negative mechanisms in a variety of ways. For ultimately, again, when you return to spirit, when you remember more of who you are, it will just be an experience. You will experience the archetypal expression of your life, which is another archetypal expression, because each and every one of you is unique, and you form your own archetypes for others to connect to draw upon, to download information from and experience from, the archetype that you are of all that is, because everyone is all that is, experiencing itself as all of the individualities that you believe yourself to be. So you are also an archetype of all that is, an archetype of God. experiencing itself in a unique way, knowing itself from a unique perspective. There will be more about this concept in a future transmission, in a way that you can more readily apply in your physical reality experience. But for now, just let it settle into you that every single thing you see, every single thing you experience, in a sense, is an archetypal presentation of all that is: the trees, the rocks, the streams, the animals, the sky, the moon, the stars, the earth itself, are all different variations and different expressions of all that is of source of the light. And you, yourself, are also an archetype of God. All right, I'll say we will begin. Good day. Welcome to the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 5, the Volunteer Corps. This step involves you becoming more involved with your society in service to humanity in beneficial ways. No download is required for this step. It is all about you taking the step, initiating the step of volunteering in certain ways on your planet and doing the things that are representative of service, of help, of bringing about a more positive world, of doing the things physically, acting on the things that connect you to others in ways that can be of assistance, that can be of help, that can be representative of the positive actions you can take, that would be more representative of the actions you would take in the kind of world that you say you prefer to live in. But there are many reasons for taking these actions, not only to be of service to others, but also to allow you to change your own states of being, should you be experiencing states of being that you don't prefer. For example, if you are experiencing the idea where you don't really understand what your passion may be, even though we have explained that you can start simply with everyday things, just acting on the things that have even just a little bit more excitement than anything else, and doing those things first, and letting it build up and snowball into bigger and bigger opportunities, we are still talking about the idea that some of you may not necessarily know how to get yourself out of a state of boredom, a state of sameness, a state of depression, a state of not allowing yourself to exercise your creative imaginations to move you forward. So one of the best ways that you can allow yourself to change that state is to volunteer, to be of assistance and to be of help to other people in various situations, to get out of yourself, so to speak, to change your environment, to change your actions, to do something different, to think, as you say, outside your box, to do something you are not familiar with, and to see if you can actually find passion in those things that you are now exploring in your service to humanity. There are many things that you can volunteer to do. And when we say volunteer, it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot be paid to do them, for there are many things you could volunteer for that will actually pay you, at least to some degree, will support you in your willingness to participate in those things. Some of them you will do for free, but even then you will get a lot out of it if you are willing to break through your usual assumptions, your usual state of being, and just choose something that you may start out being mildly curious about, or may have at some point thought of what other people feel about doing those things and said, I wonder what it's like to do that. Give yourself a chance to take the action, to take the step, to move forward and go ahead and volunteer to be of service in that way. If you have ever considered what it might be like to be of assistance in a variety of ways on your planet, such as going to the people that plant new trees and helping them do so, going to the people that feed the homeless in homeless shelters and volunteering to help there, going to read stories to people who are bedridden in hospice situations, going to animal rescue services and participating there to help the idea of the animals on your planet. There are many things you can volunteer for that will get you out of your present situation and open you up to what is possible in your service to humanity and allow you to potentially find new things you may actually discover that you can be passionate about. Getting out of your habits, getting out of your usual situation, opening your world up, making connections you otherwise wouldn't have made. This is very important for the idea of open contact, is to allow yourselves to start making contact with different realities that can be of service to humanity, opening your world up so that you can open up to other worlds as well, being more flexible in your ability to participate and interact with other people socially on your planet. After all, this is an interstellar alliance social experiment. And this is one of the social aspects of it, is to engage more fully with the positive aspects of your society that are already doing things that would be more representative of the kind of things you would do on the kind of earth you say you would prefer to live on. So help out, be of service, volunteer, find something that you are at least curious about and wonder what it would be like to do that. Do it at least once. You can do it at least once. Or you can decide to do it every day. You can decide to do it once a week, once a month, once a year, or more than that, or every other day, or every other week, or every other month, or every other year. The timing is up to you. What's most important is that you choose to participate, that you choose to help out, that you choose to magnify and amplify the positive work that others may be doing and add your energy to it, not only to help in your service to humanity, but also to pull you out of your regular routines, to open up the world to you in a variety of ways that may allow you to discover new passions that you didn't know you could have. So this is part and parcel of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment volunteer core. Get out in the world, take the actions necessary to change your situation, to open up your reality, and to participate, interact, and interconnect with others doing positive works on your planet in help to others. All right, we will say good day. This transmission has been titled Your E.T. Neighbors, and it is for the purpose of delivering to you more information that will increase the probability of contact in the years to come by delivering information on different ET groups over a period of time, one or two groups at a time in these transmissions, to familiarize you with who is in the neighborhood, who's been interacting with Earth for quite some time, who will continue to interact with Earth in various ways. So again, it increases your sense of the reality of what's going on around you and give you a better, more grounded awareness of the neighborhood in which you live as a planet. So we will begin this particular delivery by talking about a group of extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional beings that have been referred to generally by many people on your planet that have interacted with them as the blue men. Now, these beings the ones that are interacting with Earth, are fundamentally energy beings. They have the ability to take what appears to be human form, although they will mostly appear as an outline, a silhouette that is a glowing blue form, their features being relatively obscured because their true nature is energy. And in their quote-unquote natural state, you would perceive them as blue floating orbs of light. But you can see them in many cases, when you do encounter them, changing back and forth between the orbs of light and the humanoid silhouette. They will generally appear to be relatively tall, perhaps 7, perhaps 8 feet in your counting. That's just a representation of the amount of energy coming through. Again, it's not that they actually have or possess this physical stature, but it is the way they are interpreted by your reality. It's the way they present themselves in your reality. Now, they come from a civilization that actually exists on 3 different planets in their area of space. Their original planet allowed them to create a civilization where many of the so-called scientists or researchers or explorers found a way to convert themselves and exist as energy beings. However, the majority of the civilization remained physical and went on to colonize 2 other planets as they spread out among the stars. So their civilization exists on 3 different worlds. They are exploring at this time a potential 4th world upon which to expand their civilization. But what we are saying is that their civilization exists in 2 fundamental forms. Truly, solidly physical, just as you are, and the ones that have learned to convert themselves into energy beings, which are the ones that are interacting with your planet at this time. The physical ones are not. But the ones that are interacting with your planet are doing so not only for the purpose of observation and study, as is true of many ET races who are interacting to some degree with Earth, but they also are quite compassionate, quite peaceful, and they have, shall we say, a tendency, when interacting with humans on your planet, to encourage those humans to change from a warlike civilization to a more peaceful civilization. They have even rescued people in wartime situations, removed them from the war. They have healed many people on your planet who were injured in war and from other causes. Because, again, they are energy beings, they can vibrate at a frequency that allows a person to match their frequency and allow rapid healing to occur. They will often observe warfare scenarios, and they even have the ability for people, sometimes, not always, depending upon their destiny, because the blue men will not interfere with your destinies, your choices, but they have from time to time, when it is appropriate, even removed humans from your planet and taken them to live on a planet where there is nothing but peace. Now, when they choose to do this, it is usually because a person has been gravely injured, perhaps even fatally injured, in some sort of wartime scenario. They have the ability to actually, in certain cases, resurrect these people, resuscitate these people, and allow them to be placed on one of these planets where they can experience a life of peace away from war. So the blue men, as they are called, generally, which doesn't mean there are not females among them, but this is how they present themselves and how they have been labeled by your people, because that's how they seem to appear, as a male silhouette, glowing blue, obscured features, very tall, very energetic, very kind, very compassionate, very peaceful. These beings are continuing to interact with your people from time to time, though they generally remain in the background, because again, they cannot really interfere with anything you have chosen to be your own destiny. But nevertheless, they will appear to those in need from time to time to assist and aid them in either their healing or their removal to another place where they can experience lasting peace. And their energy on your planet gives you a greater opportunity to seek peace for yourselves by matching their frequency. Now, they have restricted themselves to some degree to the different kinds of individuals they may interact with. They may broaden their ability to interact with more of your population as the years progress. You will find in general that they will interact more often than not with the kind of people on your planet you call the indigenous groups, American Indians and so forth, because of their adherence to some of the old ways of relating to nature. Because again, they are very strongly connected to the idea of nature as the blue men. So in letting you know that they exist, you can open your minds, open your hearts, allow your energy to flow more freely, knowing that they are among you, whether you see them or not, and they are helping with their energy to give you more of an opportunity to choose peace and healing for yourselves, so that you may arrive at a time on your planet, or whatever version you shift to, that is more representative of peace and no longer or never has experienced the idea of war, strife, disease, struggle, and pain. So just open up to the idea of the blue men and see what happens energetically in your lives as you move forward.
It'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Thank you. Once again, we thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction between our respective civilizations, and for giving us the opportunity to experience through each and every one of you another viewpoint, another perspective, another way that all that is has of experiencing itself within the creation that it is. We would like to begin this transmission, this day of your time, having titled it, The Metaphysics of Physics. And what we basically mean by this is that, as has been discussed many times from many different sources, the idea of physical reality is that it is a projection of consciousness. In a sense, it is like a dream. It isn't really out there around you. It isn't really solid in the classical meaning of that word. But the idea is that everything that exists in physical reality, in some way, shape, or form, begins within the consciousness as a resonance pattern, as a template, as a blueprint, if you will. And thus that blueprint, that energy pattern, is in a sense crystallized within the consciousness into the format that you perceive and experience as physical reality. Now, the idea then is that, as we have discussed, and as have many of you realized, physical reality contains different kinds of reflections. The basic ones, you would generally say, are the positive and the negative, but then there is also the neutral, which is what makes physical reality not a duality, but a trinity. There is always the middle part, always the balance point. This is energetically what allows you to create the reality you prefer, because there is always going to be a way in which you can blend and balance the positive, the negative, coming from the neutral place, in order to generate whatever kind of an experience that you prefer or that you chose as a theme of exploration. But how this idea of the neutral place and the positive and negative energies that exist or are experienced within physical reality express themselves in the physical reality is quite fascinating. The idea of what you consider to be matter and the constituents of matter that make up your physical reality, what you would call the subatomic particles, so on and so forth, also do express this idea of the Trinity within their basic fundamental structure. First and foremost, most simply, you have, as many of you know from taking certain classes in your school, that an atom is generally made up of three components. You have the positively charged proton, you have the negatively charged electron, and you have the neutral neutron. Aptly named, don't you think? However, what you may not realize is how apt this structure is, how expressive it is in a very specific and precise way to the idea of the energy patterns that we've already described. Many of you may not realize that a neutron, if, shall we say, left to its own devices, a free neutron, not connected within an atomic structure, actually breaks down into a proton and an electron. So the idea is that the neutral particle is neutral because it is made up of, in a sense, positive charges, negative charges, and it expresses these things and manifests these things as the two seemingly opposite elementary particles of the proton and the electron. And because it contains both charges, that's why it is also able to be attracted to the proton or attract a proton to it, as well as the electron, because the neutron, shall we say, has kind of layers to it energetically. Now, understand, of course, what we are saying is somewhat euphemistic, but it's a good way to illustrate the point. The neutron, being neutral because it contains both charges, does this in a particular way, sort of like a layer cake. Because the proton cannot be attracted to another positively charged particle easily, the neutron must attract it. If it is to attract it at all, it must have some kind of a charge with which to do so. So the skin of the neutron, so to speak, is actually negatively charged to attract the proton. But it is also in its body positively charged to also attract the electron. So it does double duty in that way and creates and gives structure to the concept that you call the atom. Now, because it is able to break down into the proton and the electron and a few other things we won't go into right now that are, for the purpose of this illustration, somewhat superfluous, you begin to get the understanding that the neutron, in a sense, is a little bit bigger than both of them. It has, in your scientific terminology, more mass than the proton. Way more mass than the electron, of course. But it contains both, so it has to, in a sense, be more massive than both, so that when it breaks down, there is a sufficient amount of mass to express the proton and the electron. So the idea of the neutral state, energetically speaking, in your life, in your experience as a state of being, is similar. The idea is that the neutral state contains the potential for both a positive and a negative experience based on the meaning that you give to the neutral situation that is there to begin with. Now, in another transmission coming up in what you would call your near future, we're going to go more deeply into the idea of exactly what we mean when we talk about fundamental neutral states. For that transmission will help you understand how to identify neutral states more clearly and thus be more capable of infusing them with the positive or negative meaning that will then result in the idea of a positive or negative experience. But for now, it is sufficient to understand that this neutral state, like the neutron, contains the potential for both, and it is actually exemplified in physical reality by the very fact that the neutron itself is capable of breaking down into both physically. Now, let's look a little bit at the electron. The electron is representative of the idea of the negative energy. And of course, when we talk about it as an energetic state, we're simply talking about the idea of that which is disconnective, dissociative, segregative, so to speak. Whereas when we talk about the positive energy, we're talking about things that are integrative, expansive, connective, so to speak, as a mechanism. But also what's associated with the negative energy that we have discussed many times with many of you are the idea of negative beliefs. As we have said, belief systems, both positive and negative, must do something to perpetuate themselves because they're not really real. Physical reality is not really real. In a sense, it's a projection, it's a dream, it's an illusion. So the belief systems are designed to perpetuate themselves in such a manner as to make it seem as if the reality that they depict, the definition of reality that they depict, is actually real so that you can have an actual solid physical experience. But when it comes to the idea of positive beliefs, the positive beliefs are reflecting to you the true nature of your being, the true, powerful, self-empowered, creative, loving nature of your spirit, of your being, of your essence, of your existence. The negative belief systems, in a sense, have to work much harder than the positive beliefs to get you to buy into a scenario that is fundamentally not true about you. Because you are basically creative, positive beings, essentially. So in order to get you to have an experience that is negative, it has to tell you things that are fundamentally lies about yourself, and it has to reinforce those lies with every trick in the book that it can muster, every tool in its kit. Otherwise, you would see right through the smoke and mirrors and know that it is just an illusion and that what the negative beliefs are telling you about yourself has to be, by definition, false. So let's look now at the correlation, at the analogy in the electron. The idea of the atomic structure, as you understand it in your society now, is not so much the exact classical representation of a tiny little particle orbiting around the nucleus in a very clean sort of way like a planet around a sun. No. That's kind of an outdated, old-fashioned way of representing it. It's good as a general illustration. But you now know, your physicists now know, that the electrons sort of exist more in what they term a probability cloud. That is, you're never really sure exactly where it is. It's whipping around so fast. It's somewhere in this hazy cloud that surrounds the nucleus. Somewhere in there are a bunch of electrons, but where they are, we don't know until we take a measurement and freeze where it is. But then you don't really understand exactly what its path has been because you're freezing it into a static state. But when it's moving, you don't really know where it is at any given moment. So in a sense, it is similar to the idea of negative beliefs in that it creates this sort of ambiguous fuzzy cloud that you can't really get a grip on. And it fools you into thinking that there are certain things going on that are really only probabilities, really only potentials, and not really very solid at all until you yourself decide that you're going to take a particular idea, particular definition, which is the same thing as an observation or a measurement, scientifically speaking, and in taking that perspective and taking that measurement, then you get what you designed the perspective for. You get what you designed the measurement or the experiment for. That's the result you get. So the electron does exemplify and does represent the way in which negative beliefs work, in that they're kind of fuzzy, you're not really sure what's going on, they tend to hide in your unconscious mind, so you can't make it easy to find them, so you won't let them go, because again, this is their way of perpetuating themselves, telling you lies and telling you more lies, and using tools like fear to prevent you from finding them, so that they can continue to get you to believe that what they're telling you about you is true when it's not. So that is a general correlation, whereas the idea of the proton, being the positively charged thing, being in a sense more easily observed because it is the very nature of the element you're looking at itself, it is the very identifying energy of the elements themselves, then it's easy for you to see that directly. It doesn't have to hide, it doesn't have to confuse you, it doesn't have to fool you one way or the other. It is just telling you what you are. It is telling you what is. It is showing you your nature. So when you're looking at an element, let us say, for example, gold, or let us say mercury, you are really looking at the protons. That's what you're looking at, because it is the protons that determine what the element is. So they're easy to see. But the electrons, those sneaky little electrons, very tiny, buzzing around in their little B cluster cloud of probabilities. I'm over here. No, I'm not. I'm over here. No, I'm not. I'm over here. No, I'm not. Fooled you again. Shows you a direct correlation between the idea of the way the energy states themselves exist and the way that they actually crystallize down through your consciousness into the expression you call physical materiality. The trinary idea extends itself further because, as your scientists have discovered, or as they have created for themselves to perceive, even the idea of some of the so-called subatomic particles like the proton have other particles within them that you have called quarks. And those quarks generally also come in threes, which again shows you the trinity aspect of the existence of that energy. Again, the duality and the neutral place in between. This does not have to be completely absorbed at this time in this way. You don't necessarily have to have any kind of a physics degree to absorb and understand this. It is simply something for your consciousness to look at with curiosity, let it sink in, and let the idea of the energy states and the structures that they appear to create that you call physical reality have a lot to do with each other, are really just different expressions of the same thing. They're just different expressions of the state of being that is existence itself, expressing itself on all levels as that trinity. The only level on which such trinities don't exist or dualities exist is what we would call the one. That is the homogeneous one state where there is no differentiation whatsoever, but because there is no differentiation, there is also no experience, no awareness. It takes the all that is to be aware of itself. It's the first reflection to itself that there is the appearance of an other that creates that idea that starts splitting into the, well, there is this, and there is that, and there is this relationship in the middle. So really, the neutron and the neutral state that give rise to the experience of the positive and negative sides, the proton, the electron, the neutron itself and the neutral state is actually more precisely the reality that you call reality. Whereas the projections that come from it are the reflective illusions based on the information you have put into it, such as a positive meaning or a negative meaning, a positive definition or a negative definition. But the neutron and the neutral state is actually what you are as an existence, as a reality, and everything is contained within it, and everything can be expressed from it. Does that make sense to you? All right. So, just let that sink in. It's a little bit of physics fun.
All right, I'll say good day. Today's transmission, as we have said, is titled No More Secrets. Now, what we are talking about are what we will term consequential secrets. The idea of those secrets, if revealed, that would have what you would term or experience to be negative consequences. Things that you may be hiding, things that if revealed might cause emotional consequences, not only for yourself, but for others as well. That would not necessarily be the kind of feelings that you would prefer. Now, of course, we are not talking about secrets like, oh, we are planning a surprise birthday party, so don't tell that person. We are talking about the kinds of things that you might be doing that, if found out, would have serious or negative repercussions, not only in your life, but in other people's lives as well. This is what we are terming consequential secrets. We are not talking about the idea of necessarily revealing those secrets. We are simply talking about the idea of discontinuing the behavior that is causing those secrets. the effects of continuing behavior that creates consequential secrets on your body, on your energy, can be profound. Holding on to those things, to those secrets, to those behaviors, not only can affect you physiologically by creating constant, continuing stress on your body, on your nervous system, because of the fear of the secret being found out, but also energetically. It will color the idea of your energy, and taking that kind of energy into open contact will actually prevent you from experiencing contact in the ways that you could. Remember that in open contact, you are going to be exposed to many higher frequency vibrations of more highly developed and evolved beings that are telepathic and who would very easily sense that you're holding on to energies that do not benefit you, that do not benefit others. And it would cause a kind of repulsion effect that would prevent you from encountering those beings, because bringing that energy into contact with those higher frequency beings would cause even more distress in your body by forcing these things to the surface, forcing you to deal with them, forcing them to be exposed in ways that could be detrimental to you and others. And so in order to prevent that, contact will not occur for those holding on to the vibrational energy of consequential secrets. So it's not only detrimental to your physical form, it's detrimental to your energetic self with regard to the idea of encountering and interacting with those of higher vibration that are representative of the extraterrestrial races you may be facing in open contact. Now, in addition to that, again, the idea is that you don't have to necessarily reveal these secrets, for again, the revelation of these secrets could cause distress in others. We are simply talking about stopping the behavior that creates the secret. For many people, there might be some things that you have done that are causing stress, that you're holding on to, that can be, as you would say, confessed to allow you and others to feel better. But if the confession would actually allow others to feel worse, so you are relieving yourself at other people's expense, that is not what we are talking about. For those kinds of consequential secrets, for example, oh, when I was 10 years old, I'm the one that accidentally set fire to my toy. And it wasn't my sister who I blamed at the time. If you wish to confess that, that's fine, because again, the idea is that it would cause relief and release for those around you, and also relief and release for your own energy. But if there is some behavior that you are continually hiding, that if revealed would cause undue stress, concern, disruption in other people's lives, then the fact that you might be confessing it to relieve yourself, but at the expense of other people's feelings, is not what we're talking about. The past is the past and shall remain the past. So the idea is to allow yourself not to reveal the consequential secret, but to move forward without continuing the behavior that creates the secret, to relieve the stress in your own system, to relieve the stress and energies that are negative in your own energy field, so that you are not stressing the body out, so that you are elevating your vibration and being more clear in the face of the telepathic beings you will encounter in open contact. For they will be able to sense, if you're holding on to that behavior, continuing that behavior, they will be able to sense that there is something there that is out of alignment with who you truly are, out of alignment with your core frequency, and they will back off until such time as you allow yourself to stop the behavior that is creating the stress and discordant energy within your system. There will be no contact. Now, in addition to that, because of the nature of the evolution and acceleration of humanity, holding on to consequential secrets of this nature as we are describing them will actually no longer eventually be possible. Circumstances and synchronicity each and every day will alter in such a manner as to actually force the secret to be revealed. Again, possibly at the consequence and expense of others as well as yourself. So in other words, circumstances that are approaching in your year of 2025, your years of 2026, will actually force secrets to the surface. If you are still doing the behavior that is creating the consequential secret, it is quite possible that over a short period of time, that secret will be revealed anyway. It will come to the surface in some way, shape, or form that you will not be able to stop. For you will not see it coming. You will not know who is watching you. You will not know what other people may say or do that may bring about the revelation of the consequential secret you have been holding on to behind the scenes. There is going to be more light in your reality, and light dispels shadows. So it will illuminate anything hiding in the shadows, bring it to the surface, and the revelation of that secret or secrets can have untold effects on what it is you may prefer to do in the future, or how it is you may try to continue to do things that you believe are positive, but may be damaged by the revelation of the secret, and may not be recoverable, depending upon how your society and other individuals within your society react to the revelation of the secret that you've been hiding. That is a consequential secret. So again, we would encourage you not to necessarily reveal the secret, but to stop doing the behavior that creates the secret, so that if asked, is this happening, you can, with all honesty and clarity in your energy, say, no, it is not happening. It is not something I am doing. In present tense. Now, the other side of the coin of that is those that would be of an intention to reveal the secret. As we have said, in this condition, in this case, the past is the past. It's not about exposing the secret. It's about stopping the behavior that creates the secret. That is more important. Again, it's not about relieving the stress on yourself at the expense of others so that they can feel worse, even though you feel better for having exposed it. It's not about that. And for those who would continue to attempt to expose it, persecution will not be allowed. So when someone may say, is this happening? And you can honestly answer no. But if they then ask, did it happen in the past? Then that persecution, because the past is the past, will actually rebound upon them, so that the effects of the consequential secret will actually then be had by those who are pushing for the revelation of something that no longer exists, by stretching it into the past, by asking, did it happen? So be aware that those who may wish to expose the secret if the secret is not something that exists in the present behavior, and you have answered no, it is not happening, should they pursue questioning whether it did happen in the past, the idea is to not say anything, but understand that the consequences then shall rebound onto those who are persecuting, those who are pushing for the revelation of something that is no longer happening in your behavior, so that they will be aware that it is not something to force to the surface, because you yourself, by continuing or discontinuing the behavior, will be the determiner of what the effect is upon you. And by discontinuing and allowing yourself to move forward with more clarity, less stress, more relief, more lightness, the weight off your shoulders, the burden no longer being carried by you, can breathe freely, forgive yourself, and move on, knowing that you are moving forward in a lighter energy, that you are preventing your body from experiencing the continuation of the physical neurological stress of carrying the burden of that consequential secret, and be free to know that you are not in any danger of exposure if you stop the behavior. And even from those who may wish to pursue and persecute for things that were done in the past, you will know that the consequence then shall rebound to them and not to you. For it is not about digging up the past. It is about moving forward with better behavior, better clarity, better freedom, better lightness, letting go, but understanding that if you continue the behavior, there will be consequences that you may not prefer. For secrets will come out, because that is the energy of the time. And holding on to it will prevent contact from being experienced by you personally. So clear out your attic, clear out your energy, let go. No more secrets of a consequential nature. And in addition, this extends to society at large. You will start to see synchronistically in your year of 2025, 2026, that the kind of secrets we are talking about will start to come out in different facets of your society. Politically, sociologically, economically, religiously, technologically, more and more secrets will start to be exposed, will start to be revealed, that have been hidden for quite some time. So again, not only to the individuals, but to larger groups who may be holding on to consequential secrets in this manner, allow yourself to stop the behavior that is keeping these secrets from the public, because they will be exposed, and if exposed by the energy that is pushing forward in your evolutionary path without you stopping the behavior, but forced to expose them, again, the consequences will be something that you do not necessarily prefer, and you may have to exert what you would call damage control to a very great extent, and you may never be able to fully recover. So allow yourself to experience the freedom of stopping the behavior that creates the consequential secrets. Allow yourself to move forward with lightness and freedom, knowing that you will uplift your vibration, uplift your frequency, and that by letting go of these secrets and letting go of the behavior that causes them, you will experience greater rewards in your future, in your new present, to replace the idea of what you thought was so precious. You will be rewarded with the ecstasy that comes with the lightness of being, the higher vibrational frequencies, and the interactive experiences that synchronicity will bring to you with regard to not only contact with extraterrestrial beings, but with spirit and with different factions of your society that will be more capable and more representative of moving forward in positive ways to transform your experience of the world, to allow you to shift and navigate through different versions of Earth in parallel realities to a version that is more in alignment with your soul, your spirit, your higher self, your true self, in beauty, in light, and in love. So fear not the changing of the behaviors, for you will only improve your situation and circumstance, not only personally, but for all involved. No more secrets.
Oh, let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let us begin this transmission on the art of art. Now, there is an art to talking about the art of art. The idea, of course, on your planet is that you have expressed yourself in a variety of creative ways. And much that is created, when shared with your public, is considered what you call art. In that, it evokes a mood, ideas, allows people to engage in an expression of the artist that is representative not only of the individual artist that has created the piece, in whatever form it may come, painting, sculpture, drawing, writing, music, doesn't matter, but also, of course, is an expression of the time in which it is created, and also of the collective consciousness of the society in which it is created. So art, as many of you already know, is quite subjective and is capable of evoking many different kinds of reactions, reflections, moods, ideas within different individuals, because first and foremost, art is a mirror. And whether or not they may know it, those that look upon or listen to or receive in whatever form the artistic expression are bringing to it their own subjective point of view, their beliefs, their ideas, their feelings, their moods, attitudes, energies, and are getting a reflection from that mirror back to themselves, an opportunity to investigate why they react or respond the way they do. What does the art mean to the one looking at it? How does it put you in touch with either other aspects of your own consciousness or other aspects of the consciousness and expressions of the society in which you live? What does it inspire within you to express from yourself, to share with others, to converse, to discuss? Art, in that sense, allows you to investigate aspects of your being that you may actually be unconscious of and bring them to the forefront by looking at your response, your reaction to what you are experiencing, and also allow you to create a response, a creative response in some way, shape, or form. That would be the inspiration part. But first and foremost, the idea is that art, even though it may seem to be very passive in that you're just looking or listening at whatever the piece of art is actually quite active because it activates certain things within each individual that participates, that is willing to open up and discover more of themselves by looking in that mirror as it has been presented to them by the artist, so that you gain, as we said, not only insight into the artist, into the society, into the timing, but also into yourself. And ideally, allow that, when it bounces around inside you, the ideas, the feelings, the moods that it engenders and inspires within you, to let it out in an expression of equal artistry, equal creativity in some way, shape, or form, so that it doesn't just remain a passive event, so that you are inspired to express the art within yourself in whatever way it may be relevant for you. So today, we are going to discuss some things, some permission slips, if you are willing to play, willing to participate, that you can, in your own way, in your own time, take it upon yourselves to do, to express. It doesn't matter whether you ever have before drawn, sculpted, wrote a poem, wrote music, wrote any kind of idea that would be considered art. Now is an opportunity for you to just allow yourselves to go through the expression and see what comes out of you, because there may be many things hiding within you that your beliefs may be not allowing you to see, that may be invisible to you, and that when you begin to really start exploring the artist within you, you may find that there are quite a few surprises within yourself that you may discover, that you may realize that you didn't even know who you really were. So in this, we start with this suggestion. Allow yourself, when convenient for you, to stand in front of a mirror and just gaze at yourself for a moment. And first and foremost, understand, no matter what your form, your shape, your appearance, allow yourself a moment, at least a moment. I understand sometimes this may be an uncomfortable thing for many of you, but at least for a moment, appreciate the artistry of your being. Whether it be just the physical form, whether it be the look in your eyes, the expression on your face, just appreciate what you're seeing, what you are being given as a reflection, because it will be an opportunity for you to begin to understand the uniqueness that each of you is, and thus the artist that each of you is. And we say that because for a long time in your society, most of you have been taught to believe that you had nothing at all to do with the way you are, with the way you look, with the way you appear. But you are the artist of yourself. We have said before, and we will say now again, that because you are really all in your natural state, in spirit, and that physical reality is, in a sense, just a projection or a dream, you are, in fact, channeling these personalities into physical reality. So you are channeling yourself all the time. You are inventing yourself all the time, projecting this artificial construct, this piece of art you call your body, your personality, your idea, your identity of yourself all the time, and you're bringing that into being. And that is an artistic act. You know what you're doing, and you may sometimes wonder why you did it the way you did. But when you really start taking a good, deep look at yourselves and understand what your true theme of exploration is, what your true aligned path really is, you can begin in looking at your reflection to start really appreciating why you project yourself the way that you do. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't change the idea of how you project yourself, both in personality and in form. It's up to you, because again, physical reality isn't really solid. You have the opportunity to understand that you can, as you already know, change over time, but those changes can also happen more rapidly, more quickly, if you wish, in the sense of picking up the brush, the artistic brush of energy, of spirit, and painting a new picture of yourself. So in beginning, to look at yourself in the mirror and seeing yourself as you are in the way that you have now artistically created yourself to be, for whatever purposes you did that, to bring yourself to this point of looking at yourself in the mirror. Imagine now that you take up a spiritual brush, and not because of fear, not because of shame, not because of anything negative. Just start to look at yourself and start to realize how much more you are within, and how much more of that which is within can be projected without. on the outside. And take that brush and in your imagination, start to look at the reflection in the mirror as a painting. And start to make a brush stroke here, make a brush stroke there, little dab of color here, little dab of color there, and start to create in your imagination something that you believe is an image in the mirror on this canvas, this reflective canvas, that is now much more representative of the being you prefer to be when you know yourself to be in total alignment, in joy, in happiness, in ecstasy, in passion. Let that spirit come forth. Let it project itself on to the idea of your body, because it is just a projection, just an idea, and start to paint a new picture of yourself. If you wish it to be a sculpture, you can do that too, and start chiseling this and chiseling that a little bit here and there. If you wish to do it through the idea of music and vibration, you can see vibrations making changes in your form here and there as you imbue those frequencies onto the body that you see in the reflective painting. If you wish to write, if that is your forte of artistic expression, you can write a new idea of yourself and say, well, the eyes are a little bit now brighter. The nose looks a little more like this because it is an expression of the fact that I can take in more air and breathe more easily. Any which way you wish to do this, any which way you wish to be the artist is up to you, whatever works for you in this permission slip. But paint or draw or feel a new picture, a new being, and really start to use your imagination to see that overlay, however it is you choose to form it. And understand that you are the artist. You are the creator of your reality in this way. Even if you have never done anything artistic in your life or that you think is not artistic, again, remember, you are artists all the time because you are creating your personality. You are creating this idea of your physical reality. You are magnificent artists, all of you, and it is time to give expression to that in the outer world, to be free enough to allow yourself to be seen in that artistic way, in whatever form makes sense to you, in whatever form is relevant for you. And once you have done that, and you can do it as often as you wish, you can do it in the morning, you can do it in the afternoon, you can do it in the evening, it's up to you. You can do it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Up to you. Allow yourself then to go out in the world with that new image, that new painting, that new sculpture, that new vibration, that new appearance, that new understanding, that new creative, artistic expression of yourself, with your imagination fully open and willing and allowing to let in the new things that will now be representative of the new artistic expression that you are. Because that will become part of the new landscape, the new painting, the new sculpture, the new background, the new environment that you will start to experience when you walk through life in a creative and artistic way. As you walk down your street, you can do the same thing. You will find your imagination opening up. Paint the world in the way that you prefer to see it. Have that brush with you all the time, that chisel with you all the time, that music with you, that pen with you all the time. And as you go through life and you see things here that are out of alignment, allow yourself to start painting it in a new way. Paint it with brighter colors. Paint it in a peaceful setting. Allow yourself to really start projecting that energy in a very artistic way onto things and see the world as your canvas, because it is. It is just a reflective mirror. It is just a canvas, and you can paint it in whatever way, shape, or form you so prefer. We are not in any way, shape, or form talking about being naive in the sense of not seeing what's there. We are talking about the idea of understanding that every single moment you are, in fact, painting a new picture. And you can now start to break the continuity, because art is timeless, and art can present itself in any kind of structure. It doesn't have to follow the rules of time and space in a normal or typical way. And neither do you over time, over space. You will see these things become more fluid in your reality through this methodology of artistic expression and painting the world in a new light. and allow it to break the continuity within you so that you can see more reflections coming back to you of the artistic expression of yourself that you're putting forward, and allow others to see you as a work of art, as you see them as a work of art, so that they can be inspired in seeing your work of art and you can be inspired in seeing theirs, so that the whole world can become one gigantic, reflective art experience. Creativity will begin to explode from your imagination, explode through your eyes, explode through your fingertips, explode from your heart. You will see more colors. You will see more deeply. You will understand the meaning and symbols and archetypes that are presented to you. You will begin to see the world as a piece of art. You will see the meaning behind it that the collective consciousness has given, and you will be able to also change that for yourself if it is relevant for you to do so. You can also allow your imagination to give you more permission slips and more permission to be more artistic in all the things that you choose to do that are representative of your passion. As we have said, allow yourself to do it. Not only the thing that excites you, but the way it excites you, with whom it excites you, where it excites you, how it excites you. And bring it together, all the colors on your palette, and blend them in a way that is pleasing to you, that is representative of the painting that you wish to see, of the sculpture you wish to see, of the artistic expression you wish to be. You can do this. You all have this capacity, as we have already explained. You're doing it all the time. Allow yourself the opportunity to really experience the artistry that all of you contain. Your world will become far more magical, and you will start to see things in a whole new light, and you will start to receive things in a whole new light. Do you feel you can do this? Is it exciting for you to do something like this? Are there any artists in the room? All right. Now, here's a couple of other suggestions for you. A couple of other permission slips. Allow your artistic imagination to alter them however you wish. Take a cube. It can be a cube of wood, cube of any material, but a 6-sided cube. On one face, put a mirror for the reasons that we just explained in the permission slip we just described. On another face, put a photograph of yourself at a younger age, if you have one. If you don't, draw something that's representative. On another face, a photo of yourself, say halfway through your life, up to this point. On another, a photo of yourself as you exist, or believe yourself to exist right now. On another face of the cube, draw an empty shape that is representative of you and put a question mark in it. Now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 6th face, allow yourself to simply paint that entire face in your favorite color. That's all you have to do. Now, allow yourself to start with the image of just the outline and the question mark, and just look at it as representative of a blank. You don't really know what you are. There's not really a reflection here. There's a mystery here about who you really are, what you really are. There's a curiosity to know deeply who you really are, what you really are as a being, as a persona. Then go to the picture of you or the drawing of you in your youth and see where you believe you started. Gaze at it for a few minutes if you wish. Few seconds, doesn't matter, but get a good sense of that child looking back at you. Then go to the one that is in the middle of the child and where you are now. Do the same thing, just engage it, look at it, feel it. If there are memories that come with it, that's fine. But just absorb what you're being given as you look at this reflection. Then go to the one where you are now. Look at it. Engage it. Stay with it a moment. Learn from it if that's what happens. Then go to the mirror and look at yourself as you believe yourself to be in that reflection at that moment. Then flip it over and look at your favorite color. Now go back to the mirror, see if anything has changed, and go backwards through your present photo, to the middle photo, to the young photo, to the face with the question mark. And then go forwards, through the same thing again, and backwards, and forwards. 3 times do this. And see if, when you wind up looking at your reflection in the mirror at the end, if you don't see something new in your eyes, something new in your gaze, something that wasn't there before that is now peeking out at you, a hidden part of you, a new idea of you, a new angle, a new perspective, a hint of someone there that is more than you consider yourself to be, a promise of something bigger, something grander, something creative and expressive, loving and passionate about life, about being the artistic expression that you are. Do this and play with it. See what happens. Sometimes you may find that something subtle will happen. Sometimes you may actually be startled and see that something quite different is looking back at you from the mirror. Play with it. See what happens. Have fun with it. All right? All right. Be the art of art itself. For you are created to be the creator. So create. Consciously create. Give over to that flow from yourself. It is most exhilarating, most rewarding, most revealing. And it will take you to a new level of your being.
It'll take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. First and foremost, we would like to thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together once again collectively for the co-creation of this interaction. Each and every time you allow such interactions to occur, it forms a link, a bridge, a connection between our respective civilizations, and creates a third reality, a new reality in which we can both interact in a new and powerful way. So we thank you for the gift of allowing us to experience through each and every one of you that many more unique facets of the multidimensional crystal of creation. This is a gift for us. We would like to begin this transmission, this day of your time, with the following idea, which we have entitled Resonance and Reflection. The idea we have discussed many times, of course, is that everything is about resonance, vibration, frequency of consciousness, frequency of energy. There is, of course, in creation, fundamentally, only one thing. All that is, the one. But the idea is that it can create itself to be, to appear as, to experience itself as many different things by creating different frequencies within its consciousness, different vibrations, different waveforms within its consciousness. And these different waveforms, these different signature vibrations, thus then create the experience within all that is of many different things. In a sense, thus then, all of you, all of us, all beings in creation are all the different ways that creation has of interacting with itself, of experiencing itself, of reflecting itself to itself from an infinite number of points of view in order to experience all that it is from every different possible direction, from every different possible perspective. The idea here, though, in the diagrams that you've all been handed, is that this illustration represents the level that you call the concept of physical reality and how you actually create that idea, that experience with your consciousness, with your particular unique aspect of all that is. You will see on the diagram
that there is the idea, of course, that everything starts with the central source, the dot at the center. We will skip many different levels in this particular diagram just to simplify this illustration for the purposes of what we are speaking of this day of your time. So let us jump right from the source to the idea that the first circle is what you might euphemistically call your individual soul, your spirit per se. Now, of course, as we have described previously, the idea is that the soul, being a split off from what might be called the oversoul, which is a collection of all sorts of different unique soul experiences that can have many different incarnations simultaneously in what you call the physical reality experience. The soul, in a sense, is analogous to unfired clay. You create the unique soul for the unique journey, for the unique experience of the person that you will create yourself to be incarnationally, but it doesn't really become a spirit that is unique to that persona until you have actually fed that soul the experience of your life. So the experience you are having in physical reality is like taking the unfired clay and shaping it into a particular utensil, firing it, and thus creating the ceramic, the hard, glistening, clear ceramic that thus then becomes the spirit that is unique, a unique expression of the experience had in that particular lifetime as a physical being. But the idea here is that as this soul spirit thus then, in a sense, receives waveforms, information, energy from the central source of all that is, in having the desire, in choosing the experience of physical reality, it will create a physical mind, a physical personality that we have likened to the idea of a three-sided prism, hence the representation of the triangle, which represents the physical mind, the filter, so to speak, through which the soul or spirit will express itself in the physical experience. This triangle, this prism, breaks down the unbroken white light of the source into the various frequencies that are representative of the physical mind, which are the belief systems or definitions, the blueprint, in a sense, of your physical reality, the emotions, which in the sense is the activation energy, emotion, energy, motion of your physical reality manifestations, and the thought patterns and behaviors, in a sense, that also go hand in hand and are reflective of those emotions and those belief system definitions, thus creating the person, the behavior, the expression in physical terms that is created to experience, to have the experience, what you might call the ego structure, which is created to have the focus that keeps you focused in physical reality experience so you can feed that physical reality experience back to the soul or spirit, and it can grow from that experience, having this unique adventure in what you call physical reality. But we have also talked about the idea that in order to be a complete person in physical reality, it requires not only the physical mind, but what in a sense is created to remain in non-physical reality, which we have termed on your planet the higher mind, which thus then, by being balanced in relationship with the physical mind, allows you to function in a balanced relationship as a whole person in your physical reality experience, in your physical reality adventure. But the idea is that this higher mind serves many particular functions, many specific functions. And we have spoken in the past of many of these functions and many of these relationships of the higher mind to the physical mind. But now we will allow you to understand, now we will share with you one more specific function that the higher mind has that we have not really discussed before. However, we have mentioned this idea in general many times, though we have not discussed it or spoken of it specifically. And it comes from the idea that we have talked about that when you create this physical persona, and when you create the emotions and the beliefs and the thought patterns and behaviors to be of a certain content, a certain frequency, that determines utterly the reality experience you have that you call physical. Because we have said many times that physical reality is like a mirror. It's a reflection. And in a sense, it's not really that there's anything out there. There really is no physical reality out there. That's an illusion. But it functions like a mirror so that you have a feedback mechanism, a reflection to let you know that the reality you're experiencing is absolutely reflective of the belief systems, the emotions, and the thought patterns, the behaviors that you have arranged the frequencies of those things that you have created in your physical personality, so that the outer idea, the outer reality, or the appearance of the outer reality acts as a guidepost, acts as a marker, acts as a signpost for what it is you are choosing to believe is true, because what you believe is true is what you're putting out as a vibration, and what you put out as a vibration is what's reflected back to you by the physical reality in any number of symbolic and representative ways. As we have said, physical reality is very much literally like a mirror. And you know that when you see your reflection in a mirror, that if you have a frown on your face, you know you don't go over to the mirror and try to change the expression on the face of the reflection. You know that will never work. There's not really anything over there. That's not really you out there. That's an illusion. It's a reflection. But you know that if you change the frown on your face to a smile, you will also know that the reflection will have absolutely no choice but to smile back. But you have to smile first. You cannot wait for the reflection to smile before you do, before you decide to be happy. If you decide to be happy, the reflection will reflect that back. But as we have for many, many, many years now talked about the idea that physical reality is a reflection, it seems very interesting that none of you have actually asked, Bashar, yes, what is actually doing the reflecting? Oh, that's a very interesting question. Because if there's really nothing out there, what is actually reflecting back these experiences to us? Oh, that is also a very good question. What is reflecting back is your higher mind. Your higher mind, in a sense, vibrationally creates the effect of wrapping or surrounding or encasing or immersing your physical personality in a bubble of energy, a frequency, a particular frequency that allows the higher mind to actually function as a reflective surface, as a mirror. The higher mind mirror is what is actually reflecting the vibration of the personality structure back to itself in order to get the experience you call physical reality, and makes it seem, by the particular frequency that it is operating on, by the particular signature vibration it is actually operating on, makes it seem as if that reflection is actually outside of you, when in fact all of that's actually going on inside your consciousness. But the higher mind, by choosing that particular frequency, by being designed that way, makes it appear as if, creates the illusion in your consciousness that everything is actually being projected around you holographically. That's why it's an illusion. But it is the higher mind that actually functions as the reflective mirror for you within your consciousness, within the overall makeup of your signature vibration. One aspect, one of the equations in that overall signature vibration is the specific frequency of the higher mind acting as a mirror, so that you can have this physical reality reflection experience that you think is so solid, but is not solid at all. And this is why you can always use the idea of your outer reality to gauge what you are creating your personality to be. Because if you see this simple diagram as a circuit, in a sense, with the energy coming from the source through your soul, through the filter of your personality, and then going through the idea of that vibration of the higher mind mirror and being reflected back to you what it is that your personality is experiencing, whether it is in balance, out of balance, whether it is in alignment with your true core source self or out of alignment, whether it is in alignment creating joy, love, creativity, excitement, passion, or whether it is out of alignment creating fear, doubt, lack of self-worth issues, anger, all these ideas. Because that's all it is. It's simply a filter, filtering your energy. And by the experiences you have, reflecting to you whether you're holding on to beliefs and blueprints that are out of alignment with that core essence or in alignment with that core essence. So you always have this gauge. You always have this way of telling exactly where you are on your own path, which is you, because you are a path. And thus then you can use the higher mind this way and be in relation with the higher mind this way to know that it is always constantly feeding back to you what it is you're giving off, very precisely in a variety of ways. Now, of course, as we have said, this does not mean that every single situation is always interpreted as a shall we say, exact mirror image or an exact echo. But the idea is that anything that's happening in your reality has some degree of relevance for you, or it would be happening to someone else. When you interact with someone else and you create your version of them in your reality, and they create their version of you in their reality in order to have the experience of that interaction in physical reality, you are both also getting the reflections from your source through your physical personality filters to the higher mind mirror and getting that reflection back to each other. And that reflection contains your version of the other person as part of the overall equation being reflected back to you, as part of the overall vibration being reflected back to you. And that's why when you interact with someone else, it's also an indication to varying degrees, depending upon the reason for the interaction. It's also an indication of something you need to learn about yourself, as well as for the other person needing to learn something about themselves. Because all you're actually seeing is a reflection of yourself taking their form, in a sense. This doesn't discount the existence of the other consciousness, of the other being. But the idea is that you're creating your version of them out of your own energy, in your own reflection, in your own reality. And thus, it's always colored, in a sense, by your filtering system, by what it is that that person represents to you, as you are always colored by what you represent to the other person. So in that sense, you are always interacting, even when you're interacting with another being, you're always interacting not only with that other being, but always with a reflection, an aspect, a perspective, a point of view of yourself. And it is up to you to have the discernment to recognize what is being related to you, what is relevant in this interaction that will allow you to become more aware of more of who you are as that being, as that fuller being, that greater being, that more aligned, harmonious, creative, loving, passionate being. Every relationship is for the purpose of everyone in the relationship helping the other people in the relationship learn more about who they are and grow in that way. You always give others an opportunity to learn more about themselves as you give others an opportunity to learn more about themselves by using this reflective modality, by using this personality construct reflection device. The idea, therefore, is allow yourself in your own timing, in your own comfort zone, at your own pace, to use this diagram, to ponder this diagram, to understand the idea of the filtration that goes on in your personality structure, the prism of your three-sided personality structure, and seeing that it goes out to the higher mind, which then feeds it back to you, echoes it back to you, as a reflection that always gives you the opportunity to know you are constantly in communication with your higher mind. You are never cut off from the higher mind. If you were, everything around you would be absolutely, utterly gone, utterly blank. Your physical reality reflection is itself, therefore, a communication, constant communication from the higher mind mirror, always reflecting back to you exactly what state you're in and always giving you an opportunity to decide whether that state is what you prefer or whether you wish to change it. You have a constant automatic feedback, guidance mechanism from the higher mind. This diagram shows you exactly how it works in terms of your linear structure of space-time, but it is all going on, all of it, within your own consciousness. There is nothing outside. So you, in that sense, have always got the opportunity to understand, to feel that vibration, to, shall we say, balance it out, to use that reflection to guide you, to align with what it is you prefer, to let go of what it is you don't prefer that doesn't work for you, and to move forward in your life and expand in your life stronger, stronger, and stronger in order to fire that unfired clay of the soul into the beautiful ceramic spirit that will, to the best of its ability, be representative of the great joy of you experiencing the ecstasy of being your fullest possible self in your physical reality experience, because that transformation from the soul to spirit, in a sense, is what this journey and adventure is all about. And that's why the process is the destination. That's the point. You, each and every one of you, have exactly the same purpose, the same mission in life. It can be expressed in an infinite number of different ways, unique ways, but you all have the same purpose and the same mission, and that is to be yourself as fully as you can, because that is who you were made to be, and you are the unique aspect, the unique facet of creation that you were created to be. And without you, without your unique difference, all that is cannot be all that is. Does that make sense? All right. When you wish to meditate on the permission slip diagram you have been given, and remember that any tool, any technique, including this one, is just a permission slip, that if it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, you'll find something else. But it is fundamentally connected to a very simplistic diagram of how this works in terms of your consciousness relation. And thus then, if you meditate on this, it can help you allow yourself to remember, as a permission slip, more of who you are by allowing you, with your current belief systems, to give yourself permission to be all that you are, as best as you can, with zero expectation as to what the outcome needs to be. Allow yourselves the freedom to experience ecstasy. Allow yourselves the freedom to choose to act on your passion to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you possibly can until you can take it no further every moment of your life, with absolutely no expectation of what the outcome should be, because your higher mind will bring you, as another one of its functions, whatever the outcome, whatever the manifestation is that is truly representative of the high state of vibratory ecstasy that you can choose to exist in forever, if you wish. It's up to you. But do not discount the challenges that you have. Do not discount the processes that you go through. Do not discount your ability to have chosen to experience this transformation from limitation to freedom, from darkness into light, because that experience is what the physical reality on your planet is really all about. And the fact that you chose to experience a reality with so many others where you are, in fact, learning to transform great limitation to freedom, great darkness into light, means you are strong enough to do so. Remember, your earth is not a kindergarten. It's a master class of transformation. You are all master beings. It's just now that you're going through the process of remembering that. So the more you allow yourself to remember that, the more you allow yourself to know that that's true, then, because knowing and action are synonymous, the more you know that's true, the more you will behave as if that's true. The more you behave as if that's true, the more reflections you will see from the higher mind that that is the reality that is true for you, and that's the experience you will have that you call your physical life. Ecstatic, never-ending series of explosive, ecstatic synchronicities. That's how it works, if you wish it to. If you wish it to be more difficult, by all means, create it to be that way. We will never stop you from choosing difficulty, because that is your freedom to choose as well. We are simply, by your invitation, willing to remind you that everything is fundamentally simple and that your life can be a simple joy. Let it be so if you desire that, if that's what you prefer. It's up to you. Completely, utterly up to you.